From Starhawk. What do you mean when you think of something scientific or spiritual? What's it mean to you?
Well, for me, spirituality is not so much around belief, but about attitude. I would define it as that which allows us to experience our deep interconnectedness and interrelatedness. And so I don't really see that it has any difference with science, particularly as science evolves and develops out of the kind of mechanistic model of 19th century science into more what physics and where places are going now. I like to meditate on the mycorrhizal fungi and to think about, for me, things that are holy and sacred are compost and are the actual things of the earth, because when we talk about goddess, we're not really talking about a big woman up in the sky or actually any supernatural force. What we're talking about is really understanding the amazing, mysterious awe and wonder of the most common things. For us, the mysteries are the things, the great mysteries are the most common things we all experience. Birth, growth, the way the body heals after an injury or an illness, sex, death, regeneration, decay, creating fertility. Those are amazing mysteries, and spirituality is about allowing ourselves to approach them with that sense of literally that indrawn breath, like, because spirituality comes from the root of inspire, of breath. It's about how we breathe together, and how we breathe when we experience wonder and amazement. And when we allow ourselves to experience the natural world, experience our human relations in that way, experience all the things around us in that way, then we feel this great sense of connection to all that is. And this great sense, I think, of renewal of energy, of connectedness to one another. And for me, that's spirituality. It also makes science a little less dry and more fun. But all of those meticulous aspects of science, feed into some of that sense of wonder and reverence and amazement that we can get out of spirituality.
Thank you very much. That's a perfect dovetail to Dr. Muller. It makes science more fun.
If science isn't fun to you, it's not your fault. You had the wrong teacher. I vividly remember in 6th grade, our teacher saying that next we were going to learn how the eye sees, how humans see. I was very excited because I was fascinated with that and mystified by it. I had read a whole bunch of science books. I'd gone to the library. I used to walk a mile to go to the library. I didn't even know bookstores existed in the Bronx. But I really wanted to know how we saw. So the teacher went and started describing. She said, here's the eye, and here's the brain, and the lens, and the back. And I knew all that because I had read that in the books. She said the light comes into the lens and goes back to the retina. I said, yeah, I know that. I read that in the books. Then from the retina, it goes into the nerves. And from the nerves, it goes into the brain. And I said, yes, I understand that. I read that in the books. And then she said, now we'll talk about how you hear. And I was so disappointed. She never got to how I see. Subsequent to that, I have become a physicist. I really do understand quantum physics as much as about anybody else. I understand cosmology, the Big Bang. I understand all of that. But I still don't understand how I see. I have learned that the answer is not in science. Let me give you another question. Here's one. When I'm up against, some scientists believe that science leads you to atheism. And that's utter nonsense. And I love to talk to scientists who think atheism is obvious. And the argument typically goes, well, unless something can be verifiable with a physical experiment, then, and I say, oh, where did you get that? that assumption come from? Is that something that you learned from your Bible or whatever? Yes, what they learned from their physics teachers. Is it obvious? No. They have turned physics and science into a religion. And that religion denies many of the things that are absolutely obvious to us. When I say to you the following, when you look at the color red, do you see what I see, or do you see blue? Now you know what I mean by that question. But science doesn't. That is a question that is fundamentally unanswerable in science. But you know what I mean. So what does this mean? It means that there is knowledge we have that is outside of science, that is outside of empiricism, things we deeply know. I know I have a soul. How do I know that? Did I do an experiment? No. Can I verify it? No. Can I disprove it? No. Does it satisfy any of the realms of science? No. Is it true? Yes. Do I know it? Yes. It is real knowledge. And I can't convince you of that, but I can give you examples, like looking at colors. And is my red the same as yours? Or imagine you or me. Imagine you or me for a moment. Now wait a minute. What does that mean in science? It means your soul was in my memory, my body, my everything else. But that has no meaning in science. So I have come to realize there is knowledge, and there is a realm of knowledge that can be checked and can be verified, and that's what we call science. Then there's a realm of knowledge that is outside of that realm, and I call that spirituality. I really love some of the things I heard here. I pray every day. I don't ask for favors. I don't believe in a Santa Claus God who knows when I've been bad or good. So we go for goodness sake. Oh, brings me presents. My prayer every day consists of one of the 3 prayers I learned from Alan Jones, who's the head of Grace Cathedral. It was until recently. And the 2 best prayers, one of them is the one that Starhawk was saying. And Alan Jones summarized that as, wow. But my prayer isn't that. Yes, my main prayer every day for the last umpteen years has been, thank you. Right? Now, if you ask me who I'm thanking, it's hard for me to describe, but I say thank you. Now, there's one other prayer, which I have thankfully not had to invoke, and that prayer is one that Alan Jones told me is the prayer, help. But help doesn't mean help my football team win, or even my army, or cure my cancer. Help means give me the spiritual strength to be able to recognize that I am surrounded by miracles, and therefore should feel spiritually full and happy, and whatever, happy is the wrong word. I feel fulfilled.
Thank you. So Dr. Lewis, can you tell Dr. Muller how he sees?
A little bit. It's not fundamentally outside the realm of science. It is, in some ways, it is an extremely difficult question to answer. But one thing we can know, for instance, is that everything you see in front of you now is an illusion. So that most people think that they're experiencing reality as it comes in. And we know now that it can't possibly be the case, that actually what happens is your brain takes a certain set of information and creates a virtual reality for you to inhabit. And it is that world with which you interact and in which you see. It is not the actual real world. So that much we know, I'd say. Now exactly how that virtual reality is created, and how it is that you inhabit it seamlessly so that it seems in every dimension real, is a remarkable feat that I'd say we don't understand.